Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. The Canadians get another win, their first win at home, and we haven't been home in like 7 games or whatever, so it's been quite a long time since been back on Bell Center Ice, where we haven't been great this season in general, but we get a really great win today. I thought one of our better games of the entire season. The Canadians definitely dominated the majority of this game here. It felt like they were putting on pressure pretty consistently throughout the game. Obviously, the Flames had their chances there. They scored 2 goals, one of which got taken back for being offsides. But even so, they had their chances. But generally speaking, I felt like the Canadians did a great job of applying the pressure and continuing to to play in the offensive zone, doing a nice job defensively as well. So generally speaking, I thought it was one of our better games of the season. We did a great job on both ends of the ice. I feel like we were rewarded for that with our goal scoring there. Obviously, in the first period, didn't get too many goals. 0 goals, obviously, for both teams in that first period. And early on, it definitely felt like it was going to be one of those games where, like kind of like how we were against the Florida Panthers, where we definitely dominated the majority of that game, but just couldn't find a way to score. And then all of a sudden, the Florida Panthers get on the board twice, and then we have to do, a miraculous job of coming back to win a game that we really should have won from our success throughout the first like 30 or 40 minutes of the game. But fortunately, that did not happen in this one. But even so, like, it definitely is super dominant first period there. We ended up with 35 shots on goal total in this one, which is kind of rare for the Canadians. I feel like usually we win, but we don't get that many shots on net. So it was a good one that it really shows the amount of domination that we had throughout this game, offensively, just bringing it to the Calgary Flames. And we definitely needed to do that throughout this game as well, because Dustin Wolf is a very solid goaltender. So, I feel like, you only put, 20 or so shots on him. He's not going to let in that many, but, putting on 35 allowed us to get the goals that we needed to get there. So definitely a great job, as I said before, offensively there, and doing our part defensively as well made us get that win there. Jacob Fowler obviously was very solid when he needed to be. Yeah, that one goal that went in was kind of tough. Honestly, both of them were not great. One of them was a 2-on-1, so I'm not going to blame him on. It got called back anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That first one, though, it was kind of weird. He was just like, there were two Canadians defensemen that were kind of just like screening the shot, and it went perfectly through both of them and found its way through Fowler. So it's a tough one. It was kind of like, like watching it from on TV, it doesn't really look like it was a very good chance there, but I can definitely understand why that would go in, just because of the way that it found a way to squeak through the both of our defensemen there and find a way into the back of the net. So that's just the way it is. But but either way, we found a way to score 4 goals of our own, so it didn't really matter too much. He made all but one saves, saving 28 out of 29 there. So a very solid effort from him. Also a solid effort from Alexandre Texier, who gets his first ever 3-point night, which is super impressive. He's been a great addition to this team. Not something that I would have really thought. I didn't really think that he was going to have as big of an impact as he's seeming to right now. We'll have to obviously see how long that lasts, both with how well he's able to play at this level, and with injury, people coming back and stuff, where he ends up going on these lines here. I don't really see them taking him off the first line, especially after the game he had today. Definitely, in arguments for our best player on the ice in this one. So it's hard to say that he doesn't deserve more time on that top line, but only time will tell for how things are going to go there. But yeah, he scores the first goal in the second period, a little over 3 minutes in. It was kind of a little bit of a mental error by Dustin Wolf there, and Texier takes full advantage. It looked like, off of the pass, Texier was able to slot it over the shoulder of Dustin Wolf, because it looked like Dustin Wolf was thinking that Texier was going to pass this puck across the crease or back towards the middle. So he kind of like, gave him the entire upper, quarter of the net there to shoot at, because he was waiting to, push back over towards the middle. And instead, Texier just took it upon himself to just slot it into that top corner, and it works for a very nice goal for Texier. It opens up the goal scoring in a big way. Something we definitely needed for that team, as I mentioned before. Like, we've had games before where the Canadians are dominant but can't find a way to score, and then all of a sudden we put ourselves in a tough position because we're giving the other team a chance when they didn't really deserve one. So it was definitely satisfying to get that first goal, and we kind of never really looked back from there either. Lane Hudson scores another one only 4 or so minutes later. It was a nice play from Deneau to set this thing up. He gets out of the penalty box and immediately gets possession of the puck. Does some nice moves to cut towards the middle, get a nice shot on net. That one could have gone in as well, did not. But then, Deneau and Texier kind of settle that puck down. Texier finds Deneau, who finds Lane Hudson in the kind of high slot area, and he's able to one-time this thing past Dustin Wolf to make it a 2-0 game on what would have been a delayed penalty. So just all around a great shift from everybody involved in that one. Deneau for setting everything up there, and then Texier, making the initial pass, getting the puck back on our stick, and resetting up a chance there. So a great all-around effort. Obviously, good to see Lane Hudson getting more goals there. He's got 8 goals now on the season. Deneau gets his 8th assist of the season, and Texier gets his 7th assist on the season. By the way, on the last one was Texier's 4th goal of the season. Carrier and Caulfield assisted that one. That's Carrier's 10th assist and Caulfield's 21st assist on the season. So obviously good to see them getting points as well. And then only, a minute and change after that Lane Hudson goal, we got another goal from Oliver Kapanen, who, low-key kind of tripped up Kadri on his way to scoring that one. But, it was definitely up for debate. He got a little bit of puck, a little bit of leg, and, I think it definitely could have been a call. We were fortunate to not get that called against us, and it worked out in our favor. Slavkovsky picked it up and put the puck on net. Oliver Kapanen was able to pick up that rebound and slide it past the diving Dustin Wolf. Kapanen gets his 14th goal of the season there, putting him back tied with Beckett Seneca for the lead in rookie goal scoring. So continue to have an impressive season there. And then Slavkovsky gets his 18th assist of the season. So he's continued to have a really impressive campaign this year. So good to see everybody there getting points as well. Farabee scores, as I mentioned before, that weird kind of screen goal that goes in there. Unfortunate, but what are you going to do? And then in the third period, Suzuki and Texier find Cole Caulfield for his 21st goal of the season, which was an absolute laser into the top right corner of the net. Just an absolute perfect shot on what was kind of a wonky pass that Texier gave him. It was a good pass from Texier because he was able to find Caulfield on the far side of the ice there through like 2 Flames defensemen there. So I would generally say that it's a very good pass, but it kind of bobbled on Caulfield's stick. But even so, he was able to corral that and absolutely snipe this thing. Like, this is not a goal that just anybody can score. It's an absolute goal scorer's goal. He's able to find that top corner, just laser it past Dustin Wolf. So a really impressive goal there. Again, his 21st of the season. Texier gets his 8th assist of the season and his 3rd point in this game. Suzuki gets his 33rd assist of the season as well. So he's continuing to have a really good campaign as well. And obviously, as I mentioned before, the Flames get one more that gets called back for offsides, and that's how this one ends. So all in all, it's a very dominant effort, in my opinion, for the Canadians. Even in looking at like the statistics there, like, we dominated in the hits, the block shots, all that kind of stuff. They had more giveaways, all that kind of stuff. They beat us a little bit in the face-off percentage, but we beat them in shots on goal and obviously in goals scored. So and all of our really great effort from the Canadians all over the place. It felt like, this is one of these games that, we need to see a little bit more of that going forward. Like a little bit more of a dominant effort like the one that we had today. I think we can put some more games like that together. Obviously, the Flames are not, the same caliber of team that, some other teams that we're going to be playing are going to be like. So it's definitely hard to put that effort together every night, but I felt like we definitely did, what we needed to do to win this one here, and it was definitely a satisfying one. So, but we don't have to wait too long to get our next game. Next game for the Canadians, they're playing host to the Florida Panthers, 2-time Stanley Cup champions. Obviously, we had a really nice comeback against them, as I mentioned earlier, in our last meeting only like a week or so ago. So we'll see if we can keep our streak alive of beating the Florida Panthers. I think we're at a at least 5 games winning streak going back to last season, over the Florida Panthers, kind of home and away. So we'll see if we can extend that a little bit. But they're definitely a really solid team. So it'll definitely be a big challenge, especially going back to back for the Canadians. But hopefully the home crowd will give them a little bit of energy that they might be lacking otherwise. So we'll have to see how that all goes. We'll have to see if Caden Gooley gets back into action in this one as well. I know that there was some speculation that he would come back as early as today's game, but that didn't seem to be the case. So we'll have to see what the word is on his return. I also know kind of further down the line, I think Gooley could play as early as in tomorrow's game. I think it seems like from the news I've been seeing that his return is definitely imminent. I've also seen that Patrick Laine is back on the ice skating a little bit. I'm not sure he's back with the team yet. Really interesting to see when he gets back on the ice, and when he does, where he slots into this forward group. If people get sent down, or things get juggled around a little bit, it'd be interesting to see, especially not only just to see where he slots in the lineups, but also like on the power play and what kind of impact he can have. Obviously, everybody who was following last season knows how big of an impact Patrick Laine had on our power play going back to last season, and obviously that was a huge catalyst in the Canadians making the playoffs last year. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes back and how much of an impact he has compared to what he was able to do for us last year, because having a guy like him get back to work and scoring some goals on the power play like he did last year is definitely something that could give the Canadians a huge boost in a power play that's already really solid. But having Demidov and Laine together making plays, and having Cole Caulfield, and we have all this numerous amount of weapons to use if we can get Laine not only back in the lineup, but back to the way he was playing last season, coming into that playoff. So it should be interesting there. Obviously, Kirby Dach is another guy that we're looking at, waiting for when he's going to return. It doesn't really look like there's too much news on him, which is kind of concerning. Not really sure what's going on there. Hopefully he's not regressing or anything like that, or things aren't taking longer than they're supposed to be. But only time will tell on that one. So yeah, that's enough. That's enough injury speculation, and that's pretty much all I have for this one. So it should be interesting to see what happens when those guys get back in the lineup. But until then, we've got a game 24 hours from now to focus on. So that should be a good one against the Panthers. But we'll have to see how that one goes. Hopefully, we can get a nice 2 points, continue to climb up the Atlantic standings, where the Canadians currently sit just one behind of Tampa Bay for that first place spot in the Atlantic. Obviously, it is still neck and neck between everybody. Buffalo being definitely close to us in points with 48 there. So obviously it's a 6 point difference, but that's only a couple of losses and a couple of wins for other people. So we got to continue to fight for our points. Get every point that matters, especially against Atlantic opponents there, because it would be absolutely foolish to say that the Florida Panthers are down and out and that they're not making the playoffs this year. They're 2-time Stanley Cup champions. They've been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. So we need all the points we can get to fight them off. So, but yeah, that all remains to be seen, obviously. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, and I will see you hopefully after a big 2 points against the Florida Panthers at home tomorrow.